the interface of Nuke. How does that work? Okay, we want to have enough information to be able to proceed with that. Let me just close something I've just opened. But this is how it should look. When you go to workspace compositing, this is how it should look. So you've got number one, your viewport, number two, your node graph, and number three, your properties. You've got here a library of the nodes that you want to use. Okay, I recommend that you use the tab, as we said, and then read to import or any other node that you already know. Should you not know what the node is, you just go there and start probably even exploring around with the color ones or with the roto, right? So this is the roto stuff. You've got roto paint, these are the main ones. But if you don't know what it's called or you would like to start using other ones, then you can come over here to the library. Otherwise, please come over here and then press tab or the shortcut. Now we can talk about shortcuts as well. It's going to be R for reading. It's going to be W for writing. It's going to be G for grading. So there are a few shortcuts, but the point is I need you to get going first, working instead of focusing too much on the letters for the shortcuts. Okay? Right. We have three main areas to worry about: the viewport, the viewer, the nodes, and the properties. The viewer, there are a few things I want you to know. Let me load another footage for you because that one is going to help explain one functionality in the viewport. I'm going to get a right, and I'm going to call it number 4. Oh, sorry, I've got this one selected. That's not good. Come over here and say number 4. Right, this is number 4. This is one of the footage that we have, and then it's got an alpha. It has an alpha. So it's just the kid, no background. And we have, I'm just using this one for example purposes. It's not, I haven't used this bill actually. So we have here an alpha, and if you want to see the alpha alone, you can come over here and select alpha. Okay, so in your viewport, you have the possibility to select RGB alone, RGBA with alpha, or the alpha alone. Okay, there's another bit here is when you come, let's move to another footage and say it's 1. I press H to maximize this, and then RGB, you can look at your red, green channel, blue channel. I'm going to press alpha here and then turn black because this footage does not have an alpha, right? It's a live action one without any green screen keying or anything. RGB is the full thing. There's another bit here, which is this comparison story here, this stuff in here in the middle. What is this? A, B, and then something in between. What is that? Let me show you how it works by clicking on this one and assigning number 2. Okay, I've assigned number 2. Okay, so this is going to be, I got 1 and 2. Here, I've got read. I said B is number 2 here, right? If I go to wipe, and it's going to be by default under, I'm going to get 2 lines here. I've got A, and then, okay, I've got AA, because I cannot see the B one. If I come over here and start, well, let me just, oh, actually, I have the read 1. I've got the read 2. This is a little bit, because they're messed up, because read 2 is connected to 1. Let me just correct this one quickly for you, please. Read 1 is, this is meant to be, let's make it read 1, okay. Let's make it 1, and I'm going to make this one 2, okay. All right, this is now how it works. You have it split in 2. You have it split, and you have the possibility to fade in, out one of them, the B. This is the B footage. Sorry, this is the read 1. Yes, this is the B footage. B footage is read 1, right? And A footage is read 2. So you are able actually to do it like this, just to see for comparison purposes. If it is the same place, and here in this case it's not the same place, but it's a similar place. If you want to do it for color correction or for any other purposes, you're able to see two footages at the same time with this. So you are also able to move this around. You don't need to do it splitted vertically. You can do it any way you want. Okay? So that is this one. Let's switch it off. When it was on, you got A and B, and it tells you which one and all other information about that. So you have two here. Okay, let's switch that off. We don't need it for now. What else I would like to tell you about the interface that is quite interesting. Okay, something is important. If you can't see what you're doing, or something is looking weird for you in the viewport in terms of something is messed up, or it's black. It's black. If it's black, chances are something has changed here. So look for either something that turns red, or check your here RGB. So I'm going to go for A, and it's all black. Imagine you were working on this footage over here, and I'm going to go to number 4, and I'm working this footage. This footage, say for example, I'm working on the alpha for this footage. Let me just see, that's number 4. RGB, reveal the alpha first. Okay, I am working on the alpha, and I show the alpha here, right? I show the alpha, and I'm working on the stuff, and then later on say, okay, let's move on to another one, and you move to this one, and it turns black. Just like, okay, what is going on? Because you have changed something, so you need to go back to RGB, and you are going to end up with changes like, say, for example, if you tweak this, this becomes red. It tells you this has changed. You tweak this, it becomes red. Pay attention to the red indicators if, because they indicate something is red, except this one, which is a different purpose. Okay, let's reset this stuff to where it was. That was 1, right? This is, by the way, this is your gain, right? This is your exposure, and this is going to be your gamma. Okay. There's going to be 1 here. Okay, all right. So this is about this. One frustrating bit that you may encounter is the frame range timeline here. I mean, I assume you haven't seen anything because I had it on the right parameter. Now I'm setting. I've just put it back to the default one. Okay. The default one is global. I was working with something else. I was working with input, but I'll explain to you why I do that. Global is what it comes. And then you have the option timecode, if you're working with timecode, and frames, right? This is the annoying bit. Not here, actually. This is your solution. But the annoying bit is that you are, so I've put it back to default now. You are working, say, on number 4. Number 4, if I click on that, has only 249, 250-ish frames. Now it's got 249 frames, and my timeline here is like my frame range here is up till 884. Why is that? Because the first footage I have imported has defined the settings of the. I've just pressed now on S. If you want to see the settings, the project settings, you press on S. You highlight here and you press on the node graph and you press S. You have your project settings, and when whatever you import first is going to be defining actually your frame range, and that is not well, that can be a bit handy, but when you work with a lot of footage and they have different frame ranges, you may be frustrated. It's like, right, this one is 250 and I'm just literally here, and then what do I do with all of this? Okay, let's see what we can do with that. I'm going to keep it to, actually I'm going to make it even worse. I'm going to come here and see this is 3:30:55. This footage is the longest. Let me go back to my settings, and I'll come here and say, okay, 30:55. Right, so this is global, meaning it is whatever you're doing here, say 10,000, whatever, 10,000. whatever you do in here changes this. Why does it change it? Because you have chosen the project setting. But if you prefer to go for something else, meaning if I have, oh, I have this one in the viewport. It reads from the viewport, not from the node graph, not from the properties, from the viewport. If you go down here on global, it's input. You're actually asking Nuke, can you please give me the frame range of the file I am seeing? And that's how you get it. Now you get 0 to 49. If you move to this one, and I am somewhere, let's say I'm going to select it to be number 2. What happened now is that it has changed from 249 to 884. So this is how you change your setting, I would say. I don't want you to keep changing your stuff. If you leave it on input, it may be much better in the first stage, because you're working with input files and you want to look to look at each one separately without starting to get any weird weird non-actions, actually frozen frames. What do I mean by frozen frames? I go to global here. Global is 10,000. I'm just exaggerating. I have 250 now. But if I come over here and I select 4 in the viewport, select 4, I still have the kid. Wherever I go to him like he's frozen in the air there. What is that? The kid is moving in the footage, because if you come here, then you get him moving, right? Why then is he still there? Is it not supposed to disappear, the footage after the last frame? Well, because we have told, actually, because by default, the setting for this footage, if you double click on it, is frame range before 0, hold, after the last frame, hold. So before the first and after the first, freeze with the frame. So it gives us the frame, right? The last frame. The last frame is frozen here. If I come to 5,000, is the last frame. This is the last frame, which is 249. It's the same thing. Well, if you go just a bit down, it's going to be different. Okay, right. So this is your setting here. It's useful, but if you're worried, thinking there's no action going on in my movie here, but it's because you are out of your range and your default says hold. Keep the default. It's a good thing, but make sure you're working with input if that's what you need, right? So input now is the right thing. Let me go back to global, set this to 2000 or something like that, and go to another footage. Oh, in out. What is in out? Let me explain it with a bigger footage. Let me go to this one, for example, and yeah, show number 1. Show number 1 in this case is going to be right. In and out. In and out is basically the input and output that you define yourself. Let's say, where do they start shooting? Okay, here start the action. I'm gonna have some people running over here. I know this a bit fast. Okay, I've got these people shooting. I've got these guys running. Let's start here. Yeah, let's start somewhere. This is, go to previous frame. Let's say this is our endpoint. You press on I, and you have defined your endpoint. You come over here, and you press your, and they've already finished here. The smoke is all over the place. Almost there. Okay, here we go. Because actually from the whole footage, only this part. Okay, I press O for in and out. Well, basically, you get the point. If I go here and select, just show me in out, it's going to show me just the in and out. Okay, so this is what, these are the parameters you need to be aware of so that you don't get frustrated, especially for the timeline, for the frame range. Okay, another thing, if you would like for the interface, what else? I have here 1. Okay, you don't have this. You have something like this. Then, let me just start messing around with these things. Just opening this and then open S and then go back to this one. We have a long list of things. By default, when you open Nuke, it gives you properties 10. Then whatever you work on, if you double click, it goes up, but then everything else stays there. This might seem like a useful thing, like a bit of generosity from Nuke to think, well, okay, I'm trying to get closer to customers in terms of giving them all the options listed here. This is one of the most confusing things you can work with. I strongly recommend you drop this to 1. Okay, work with only one at a time, otherwise you're going to be tweaking the wrong properties for the wrong node. Sorry, you're going to be working not on your footage. How bad does it sound? That's really bad. So you're going to be tweaking another footage when you think you've just done it for yours, especially if it's something subtle or if it's masking, or that is not great. Okay, so what we have here is read 2 on, and I have read 1. Just pay attention to a few things. You need to double click. I know that these things could be a bit, it's not, I need you to be aware of this. I have properties read 2, and I have here this one highlighted. You have sometimes the impression, let me just do this and click here. These things, fortunately, unfortunately, I think mostly unfortunately, have no relationship with each other. The viewport is showing read 4. Yeah, read 4. That's read 4. The node graph is highlighting read 1, and the properties is showing read 2. This is truly not user-friendly because, okay, it gives you freedom, but you should always be awake. Be very careful that you need, number 1, I need to get my viewport on 1. That's 1. I need to, that should be this one. Just define it. Viewport on 1. And then I need to make sure that this one is actually, which is read 2, double click on it. Only once you double click on it. If you don't double click on it, it's not going to happen. Sorry, I'm repeating that too much. You need to double click on it. It happens so often that you start tweaking the wrong nodes. If you have here transform, 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 and you click on, you have one clicked, you think you're working on that one. You're working on another one. You've just moved another person from his or her place, and you don't know because you think you just moved it in yours. Double clicking is very important to get your properties here, and please clear that list. Just get yourself 1. And if you want to work with the settings, you are going to press S here and you get the settings. Please note that this, let me just put it back to the default. This is how it comes shipped in. Nuke, when you open it, the default is 4K. Whatever projects you work in, it defaults the full size format of 4K Super 35. This is not what you are working on, most likely. I mean, you can, but in our case, it's 4K DCP. You could be working on 1080p. Exporting, I mean, your final export should be something like this. So it is what you want to work with, right? So you need to set it at that. Otherwise, it's set for you. And you may end up down the line with problems, stuff not being shown up because your setting is 2K and your footage is 4K, and what you're trying to work on is 1080p. So just make sure you have this right. Okay, here project settings, just work on the maximum you have. Probably do something that works for you. I don't know. I'll just go for the highest frame rate of that I have, that the footage has. This one is the longest, it's 3055, just go 3055. I don't want to go any higher than that. Nice. One other bit is if you want to maximize a window, you just press space, okay? Whichever one you want to maximize, you just press space, and you just need to highlight, just put your mouse there, and then you are going to be able to see that. Okay,